I think that, well, number one, I'm attracted to it. I resonate with it, you know, the blues sound and the rhythmic approach, and it seems like the opposite of playing in that style is sort of like being caged in a way. I mean, rhythmically, to be stuck with just quarter notes and eighth notes and 16th notes, to me, just gives a feeling that's a bit alien to me, you know. So when I hear players of any genre kind of break free of that, I don't care if it's classical music or jazz or blues or rock, to me that sounds right. That's expressive. And I want to hear it over and over again. It almost like, it sounds as if it has some sort of life-giving property that every time you hear something new about it, you know. And it must be because, you know, I think the player is really not giving up on any level of expression, because it takes quite a bit more, I think, creativity to make something like that work, because you're not relying on this sort of pre-quantized, you know, idea, you know, that you know you're going to do this thing and it's going to all fit, and therefore it will be right because it fits. You know what I mean? It's like when someone plays something and rhythmically all the notes fit in there, then it's correct, and it sort of gives this, I think it gives a kind of a false legitimacy to it, and then you wind up with a cookie cutter melody, solo, whatever. But it seems like all these really great solos and melody parts are the ones that are free of that. There's an observation that I always make, that the solo is either the real expression of the piece, it's very important for its melodic content, or maybe the role that it plays is to throw in something out of left field. Maybe it's the sound. Maybe that's all. It's just weird. It's supposed to come on really strong. Sometimes the solo really isn't very different at all from the melody. They're just one continuous piece. And you know, for those of us who started playing music in, you know, rock bands where we got 4 or 8 bars now and then, the arrangement of what a guitar solo did was very different. And when I started doing these instrumental records, I realized that none of that applied anymore. It just didn't work. The solos just didn't pop out, because you'd heard all this guitar right up into the solo. So what else is there to say, you know? And that's a very important part. So I think on the certainly not as a rule, but it seems like very often in the slower pieces that are more ballad-like, not just slow, but more ballad-like, that there's more of a need of continuity there between the melody and the solo, even in the sound of the guitar. And I started playing by, I remember just doing, you know, trying to play over stuff like this and seeing how slow I could get, and wanting to figure out how come other guys can go and make it sound really great, you know, because there's a million places to do that over a beat, but when is the right time to do it, you know? And then I thought about, well, you know, there's ways of playing it. And then, you know, where you move your pick as you play it, and what notes you pinch, what notes you don't.
So listening for all the variables.
Yes.
And the emotive quality that's going to yield somehow.
And, you know, that's not only, so that's guided me towards you know, kind of picks and strings and guitars and amps, everything, because I'm looking for stuff that allows me to speak in that sort of language, you know. So each third is not a minor nor a major. And then when you finally do hit that major third, it has such an impact. It's finally sort of finished your statement, you know. makes it even stranger. I think that if you go, I mean, that's just me picking without anything to it, you know, but on these phrases, yeah. Yeah, but if it's, and all that requires pinching the pick, you know, this note you hit hard, that note you barely touch, and that creates this dynamic sound as well as the volume dynamic. And I think that's what, at least that's what I'm always hearing when I hear those great old solos. It just feels like I'm not hearing so much discipline in, you know, that someone would have had from, you know, from doing this all the time and trying to be even up and down the fretboard. All I'm hearing is unusual, quirky habits that manifest themselves in. And that's with a little bit of English all over. I'm picking, and see there's like a there, and then when there's that. I could have gone, that's with no pick stuff on it, then that's with me pinching a little bit. And then if I'm using the middle finger there to get that.